Welcome back to the Free Baseball Pod. How's it going, everybody? Will Talent here, and alongside me, as always, the man of the hour, Andrew Mendez. And me and Andrew, we have a very special edition of the Free Baseball Pod for you today. We're going to be doing another draft, but this time it's going to be centered around Home Run Derby participants and how these participants did in their respective home run derbies. It's going to be very special. We're very excited to do it. But alongside us this evening will be Jonah Lanier. Jonah, let's tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Hey, what's up? My name's Jonah. It's not actually my real name. My real name's Steven, but we won't get into that. I'm probably one of the biggest Yankee fans you'll ever meet, one of the biggest baseball fans you'll ever meet. I'm super into advanced statistics and all that. And yeah, it's great to be here.
Awesome, Jonah. Thanks for coming on with us and doing this draft. Me and Andrew, we've been hype about this since it came onto my text. Andrew sent me a text just a couple weeks ago, not even, maybe a week ago, and shot me this idea. I was all for it. I'm so excited for it. We love doing drafts on here. But Andrew, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing pretty great. Pretty excited about All-Star break. Just watched great home run derby All-Star game. And I'm pretty excited to get in this draft and win my second one on this podcast.
Win his second one. Unbelievable. I mean, I guess the voters did say, but I don't know. We have to look back at those polls and really give it a good hard look to see if he won that. But Andrew, how about you go over the rules for this draft?
All right, so the rules are pretty simple. Last draft we did a snake draft. Once again, we go 1, 2, and then third person gets 2 picks in a row, so on for the rest of the draft. Rules, we're each going to select 4 players. You can pick any player who's participated in any home run derby from 1985 to 2022. And obviously, we're not going to count the home run derby TV series that was in the 60s with Willie Mays on Hank Aaron, because Mickey Mantle, we don't count those as real home run derbies because they weren't live televised. And then also, we want to clarify this is based off the derby performance alone. We were considering doing it off of raw power also, but it's only how these players performed in the derby. And then it's going to be set in a neutral stadium. This fantasy derby is going to be set in a neutral stadium. And it's going to be the current derby format with an unbiased pitcher. So we don't have to factor in your pitcher. Say, for example, Pete Alonso had a really good pitcher. He's not getting his pitcher. Everyone gets the same one, and they throw perfect pitches for everyone. And
so those are the rules. What's up, Andrew?
And Will gets the first pick.
Yep, I will be getting the first pick in the draft. Those are the rules. We wanted to limit the confusion. Raw power makes sense for a home run derby, but it's a very specific event, and only so many people can be good at it, no matter how much power that you have. For example, we look at Pete Alonso the last 2 years in 2019 and 2021. It came down to stamina and endurance. He really just battled it out at the end, and he has mastered how you should participate in this home run derby. Unfortunately, did not win in 2022, but that was a very, very fun home run derby. But let's get right into it. And I'm going to select Vladimir Guerrero Jr. from 2019. And you guys definitely remember that derby. I definitely remember it. It was one for the ages. He broke Josh Hamilton's single round record with 29 in the first round. And then he tied Jock Peterson in the second round with 29, which went to triple overtime. And he ended up beating Jock 40-39, breaking his own record in the same home run derby. He hit 91 home runs in that derby, and that is the most any player has ever hit for a total in the home run derby. And the total distance in home runs was 38,641 feet, which is over 7 miles. But he lost that home run derby to Pete Alonso. Nevertheless, one of the best performances we've ever seen in the derby. Give me Vladdy Jr. 2019.
That's pretty bold. Obviously, an incredible performance from him. That's one of the most outstanding things I've ever seen. I am pretty surprised that the number one pick wasn't a winner. He never won a home run derby. He was the runner-up in 2019, but did not win that. I knew he'd get picked at some point, but first is a bit of a shocker.
I'm actually not that surprised. He was pretty high on my list. He was probably, if I had the first pick, he wouldn't have been the guy, but he's probably the guy who would pick the second pick. Had arguably the most impressive round ever. That crazy round against Jock, 40 homers. So, not a bad pick there. Jonah, you're up.
right. It's my turn now. This would have been my first pick if I had the first pick, but it is Ken Griffey Jr. It's a little hard to see how he would do in today's format, but he's the only player ever to win 3 home run derbies. No one's ever done that. Only 4 people have won more than one. So the fact that he won 3 and 2 of them were back to back, he won in 1994, 1998, and 1999. And I think that he just has to be my pick.
Yeah, Jonah, you can't really go wrong with Ken Griffey Jr. considering, like you said, he has won 3 derbies. He had to have the most experience winning it. But he wasn't that high on my list. I probably would have put him 5th or 6th, just considering he didn't really show. He's never done it in this format. The most he ever hit was 19. But he did dominate the competition, like 19 home runs compared to Vinny Castilla's 12. That was in the 98 Derby. And then 16 homers in 99. And the fact that in 98, he wasn't planning on doing the Derby until that day and still won it. Well, that's just the alpha mentality.
Yeah. Griffey really wasn't on my list at all, just based on the fact that the format was just so different. Yes, he did win 3, but you have to look at total performances in these home run derbies. And as we go throughout the years, there have been guys that have lost, like I just picked Vlad, that just blow Griffey out of the water in terms of home run derbies. That's why I didn't really have him up there at all. But I understand where you're coming from, though, Jonah. 3 home run derbies is very hard to argue with that.
Yeah, I almost put him first as my pick, but then I wanted to go with a more recent approach like you will. So with that being said, my number 1 pick, 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, I'm picking this guy. Most impressive derby performance I've ever seen, Aaron Judge. In 2017, 23 homers in the first round against Justin Bour. Didn't even need the bonus time to beat him. People were really excited to see Judge in the Derby. They got a little nervous when Bour 22 didn't even break a sweat. Only needed 13 to beat Belly in the second round. He had a minute left, and then he beat Sano in the finals with 2 minutes remaining. So he pretty much did it in the first minute. The homers that he hit in this Derby were crazy. Nobody else in the Derby hit 1 500-foot homer. He had 3, including 1 513 that was deep onto the concourse. And just the way, if you watch Judge, the way he could hit to any field, and an average homer distance of 427, he just did it so effortlessly. And although we'll probably never do it again, I think if he wanted to do it every year, he could win it every single year.
I agree with you. I think he would win a ton of home run derbies if he were to play in them like Griffey did, if he were to play in them consistently. But, he did have that big slump after, and that's probably why he doesn't do them anymore. But that's a great pick. He was pretty high on my list. I'm kind of mad you took him from me.
Yeah, Judge was high on my list too. I'm not surprised you went with him with your first pick. I mean, that's your guy, Drew. We all know that. Everybody knows that. The whole world knows that. But I wouldn't call it the most impressive home run derby performance I've ever seen. It was definitely up there. It was fun to watch, especially because he's a Yankee. All 3 of us are Yankee fans here. Love when a Yankee comes out and shines and wins it. I have seen better home run derby performances, though, which I'm going to show when I come up for my next pick. But I do like that pick at number 1, or number 3 overall, number 1 for you.
Thank you. You can never go wrong with Aaron Judge. Pay the man, by the way. And then my second pick, this guy has the most home run all time, most Derby homers ever with 131. That's Pete Alonso. Didn't get his 3rd victory last night, but what he did in 2019 and 2021 was pretty impressive. 35 in the first round in a 4-minute round in 2021. Might be arguably another guy who might get picked later in the draft, Josh Hamilton. Those are 2 of the most impressive first rounds I've ever seen in the Derby. Just constantly, his pitcher, like we said, was amazing, but just constantly, boom, boom, homer after homer. 57 in 2019, had an average of 453. And even though he lost this year, I think he's going to keep doing it. I think by the end of his career, he'll probably have the most Derby wins ever, considering he's only 26, 27 now.
Yeah, he was my number 2 or 3 overall. Pete Alonso, obviously, one of the best home run derby hitters ever, especially in the new format with the timed instead of the outs. He's proven that he could really just hit homer after homer and not get tired.
Yeah, I definitely had Pete at number 2, especially in 21. He hit 64 home runs, 35 in that first round. That's extremely hard to beat. One of very few back-to-back winners. Also, one of only 2 rookies to win it when he won it in 19 and Judge won it in 17. Pete Alonso, definitely the best, I think, the best home run derby hitter that you can have. As I was saying in the beginning of the show, he has this thing down to a science. He has the perfect pitcher for him. He doesn't get tired because he knows when to use his timeouts. He knows his strength. He knows his stamina. It was unfortunate that he didn't win it this year. I would have loved to see a trifecta, but I could definitely see him back in this contest the next year and probably win it 4 or 5 times in his career if it doesn't get too old for him. But I like that pick. He definitely stole it from me, and it sounded like he stole it from Jonah too. So good for you, Andrew, on those first 2.
No. We'll be going back to Jonah for the next pick.
My next pick is going to be maybe a little bit of a recency bias, but I'm going to go with Juan Soto. He won this year. Everybody saw it happen. It was great. It was amazing. I love him. He's the best. He had the longest homer, 482 feet. He also had the longest homer last year, and that was 520 feet. Was in Coors, so maybe it wouldn't have went as far, but still incredible performance both years. What wins this year? And it's Juan Soto. What else can you say?
Yeah, Jonah, I almost picked him just for the fact he wasn't on my list on my top 6. But just for the fact is he's going to hit long homers. And even if I don't win it with one of these guys, I know he's going to put up a show. 520 last year. That was wild. It was Coors, but yeah. And also one thing with Soto is I will say he does know how to pace himself, which we saw last night when he won it. So that's a great pick there.
Yeah, I like Juan Soto a lot. He's definitely a guy that's consistently very good in this event, as we saw last year, as you guys were saying. And of course, this year he won it, the most recent winner. I'm very interested to see where he ends up. That'll be something that we talk about on this show, maybe for a little bit. Who knows for how long? Could be just through the deadline, could be for the next 2 years. Who knows what the Nationals are going to do? This guy's a very hot commodity on the headliner market, you could say it that way. But Jonah, I like that pick. Juan Soto, good spot for you for your second pick. But for me, I'm very happy this guy actually fell all the way down, especially for his performance in 2016. Give me big G, Giancarlo Stanton, the 2022 All-Star Game MVP, but that has no relevance in this draft. He won the 2016 Home Run Derby, 24 home runs in the first round, 17 in the second, and 20 in the finals to give him a 61 home run total. He also hit 20 of the hardest hit home runs in that entire derby. And that 61 mark gives him the best, or the 4th best mark for anybody that has ever competed in the home run derby. The total distance in those home runs was 27,187 feet, just over 5.5 miles. Giancarlo Stanton, I remember watching that derby in San Diego. That was electric. He was awesome. And then the next year he won the MVP. But in that home run derby, he was something special, and it was a very, very fun contest to watch.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Stanton wins it in Petco. Like you said, 61 total homers. That's crazy. Obviously, Stanton has insane power, can hit home runs all the time, and that's a great pick. I love that pick.
Yeah, well, I love that pick. I almost actually picked him over Judge in my first pick, just strategy-wise, because Stanton could hit a lot of live driving home runs, and in the format we are going, line drive home runs will save you a lot of time. And also just for the show factor, he had 20 of the hardest hit homers than we did in 2016, 61 homers, 4 averages homer distance of 446. So I'm very mad you took that from me. And you can make an argument that could be the best pick in the draft, biggest steal of the draft.
I found it very underrated. I was looking at the numbers while I was doing prep, and I really forgot, because it was a little bit ago now. It was about 6 years ago. I know it was 6 years ago. And I just forgot how good he was in that event. And I was just thinking about it. I was watching some videos and I was like, wow, like he wasn't even an all-star in that year. And he just showed up to San Diego, won that home run derby and left. But he left such a historic mark. on the contest. It was probably at the time top 2, maybe top 3 in terms of I guess you could say total performances. It was something special. People have definitely passed him up, but he's still up there. It was probably a top 5 performance, in my opinion, of all time. But for my third pick, and I like this one too, I'm very happy it also fell to me. I'm going to stick with this year. Julio Rodriguez, one of the most impressive home run derby performances I've seen. I feel like we're going to say that a lot. But this guy, at how old is he? Like 21, 22? 21 years old, 31 in the first round, 32 in the second, 81 total home runs, and kind of like Vlad, lost the home run derby. That 81 total, though, is second highest in home run derby history. Behind who? Behind Vlad. 2 guys that lost the home run derby. Unbelievable. The 31 mark and the 32nd mark rank for 4th and 5th best in a single round in the derby. I gotta take him. That was such an impressive showing by Julio Rodriguez at such a young age. His age was definitely showing, and yeah, you can say that for a young guy. His age was showing. He just was cranking them out left and right, wasn't losing any speed or stamina at all with each swing. That was something to watch. Give me Julio Rodriguez from 2022.
That's a great pick. I was thinking about picking him because I do have that recency bias. I watched him not long ago, and he was just destroying balls. He's been one of my favorite players to watch this year. He just looked like he was just getting inside pitches, and he was just destroying them to left field. He was just nonstop, and he didn't even look like he was getting tired. I feel like he could just do it forever. And then, yeah, it's a great pick. He's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, I love J-Rod. You stole that pick again from me. I was going to pick the same 2 guys that, well, they were Stanton and Julio were my next 2 picks, so I'll pivot to other ones. But yeah, J-Rod, he's just a batted ball data. Just seeing him, I don't know if you guys watched the StatCast version, but just seeing it off the bat every time he hit it, 115, 116, just absolute nukes deep into the bleachers in Dodger Stadium. And I think he's going to be amazing for in the league, in games, and in the derby for many years to come. And then, so now we go to Jonah, and then for me for 2 picks.
My next pick is going to be someone that did not play with the timed format. He only played with the outs, but I have to take him. Yoenis Cespedes. He is one of 3 players to win 2 in a row. He won in 13 and in 2014. Alongside him is Pete Alonso and Ken Griffey Jr., and he was just so fun to watch back then. I wish he was still around playing them today because I loved Yoenis Cespedes in the home run derby. Yeah, it wasn't the timed format. It was the outs, so we don't know how good he'd do, but I think with his endurance, he'd hold up in today's home run derby format.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good pick, but as you said, yeah, we don't know with the time. But he was able to hit some pretty far homers, as we saw. He has really good game power too. So I think he would have thrived in any derby.
Yeah, hit 32 in the 13 home run derby, 17 homers in the first round. And I'm going to say 6 in the second round. That's what it was. That's when the home run derby was it was just so interesting. And before I continue with my thought, though, it's actually kind of interesting, guys, how much this event has changed over the years, especially in the last 10 years. It's probably changed, 2 or 3 times since 2010.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable, but every change that they make, they continue to make it more entertaining, and I'm very happy about that. But Cespedes was something to watch. He really, for me, brought the entertainment into the home run derby. I always liked watching it. I really got hooked when Robinson Cano won it because the Yankee won it. That's just how I was. But Cespedes just going in and winning it in 13 in Citi Field and then 14 in Minnesota. Definitely 2 very good performances. I would say 13 in Citi Field was the best one. He beat Bryce Harper 9-8 in the finals. And that's also when they had a finals and they based it on your total number of home runs throughout the derby. So format has definitely changed a lot, maybe even in the last 5 years. But I like that pick, Jonah. Solid selection for you.
thank you.
And then it goes to me for 2 picks. And then I believe we go to
Yeah, You get 2, Drew, and then you're done. And then Jonah gets 1 and I get 1.
And then you get your last. Okay,
Yep.
so for my third pick, I'm gonna go with another not old school, but a pre-Statcast guy before the time format. I'm gonna go with Josh Hamilton. His first round in 2008 at the Old Yankee Stadium was pretty much revolutionized the Derby. Like, nobody hit more than 8 home runs in the first round. Josh Hamilton comes out hitting 28, just smoking balls deep. Almost hit 1 out of the entire Yankee Stadium. 13 homers and 13 straight swings, which is very important if we're going for an all-time Derby. You want to be consistent. Hit 7 500-foot homers, averages in the 445. He did not win it though, because he kind of tired out. Hit 4 homers the second round, lost just 4-0. But what he did changed the Derby. Like, we will never see anything like it because, well, we've seen more home runs, but we'll never see that in the 10S format since it is gone now.
Honestly, Josh Hamilton, that's a great pick. He's one of my favorite players of all time watching him play. He had 4 home runs in 1 game. I mean, come on. He was crazy in that home run derby in Yankee Stadium. That just unbelievable. Say that he was the runner-up. He had 35 total homers, and he had that one crazy round, like Drew said, and that's a great pick. He was on my list. I don't know if I would have picked him next, but I guess we'll never know.
I was debating putting him in the first round because, Drew, you said it best. That was a revolutionary type of home run derby. That is why we see the kind of rounds that we see. They changed it up. I don't even remember when, but the reason why we got to see all of those home runs by Vlad was because of Josh Hamilton, and he didn't even do it with the timer. There was a point in the derby. Let me look at it really quick. He went 13 for 13.
Yeah.
Home runs, 13 swings, 13 home runs, 13 home runs in a row. Unbelievable. 7 home runs. So this trumps your boy Judge here. It does, Drew. 7 of them went over 500 feet, including one that went 518. That is unbelievable. And you could talk all you want about how short right field is in Yankee Stadium. He hit that 200 feet past that mark. I don't want to hear it. 204 feet if we really want to get picky with it. But 35 home runs in that derby, and another guy that lost the home run derby. And to me, that's just because of the format. That's just how it was. He had a pretty lackluster last round, lost to Justin Morneau, former MVP, kind of a beast. But Josh Hamilton, really like that pick, Drew, at where you got him at. I was going to try to get him at 4. I didn't think he was going to drop that low because he had first round potential for me for how amazing he was. But good for you.
Yeah, I think he should have just been handed the winner trophy, even though he didn't win it, because that round alone, like that, he had 14 homers more than the guy in second. So he should have just won that derby. He's my winner. So my finals pick, I didn't really have much prep because I didn't think all my picks were going to be taken. But I'm going to go with Jock Peterson, another guy who didn't win it, but he almost won it in 2015, lost in the last round by 1 homer to Todd Frazier. But the reason why I'm picking him is obviously that 39 homer round in 2019, where him and Vladdy tied at 28, and then they each hit 8 in the minute tiebreaker, and then Vladdy ended up winning it. But that, for just that round alone, I got to pick Jock Peterson my 4.
Watching him and Vlad just battle it out in that round is probably one of my favorite moments ever watching baseball. That was so cool. They were just going back and forth, and it was just crazy. You know, that he had the endurance to keep going, and that's a good pick in my opinion.
I just feel like Jock Peterson has always gotten unlucky in the home run derby. He always does well. Even in 15, he was like maybe 23 years old. He always has done well, and he's just always run into some wild home run derby shenanigans, and he's never been able to move forward. But that's a very underrated pick there, Drew. Jock Peterson does not get talked about enough for how good he is in the home run derby. And like I said before, I think it's because of who he faces and where he gets eliminated. That's why he doesn't get enough love. But good pick at 4 for you right there.
All right. For my final pick, I'm going to go with another old format guy, but he won 2 home run derbies, and he's like I said, one of 4 people to do that. Prince Fielder, he won in 2009, he won in 2012, and he is just a beast. He is a massive individual, as we all know, and he does have surprisingly good endurance. He was able to leg out like a lot of weird doubles and weird triples in the MLB, and I think he'd be good in today's timed format. And like I said, only him, Alonso, Cespedes, and Griffey have multiple home run derby wins, and I think I just had to pick him for my last pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a bad pick there. Only thing is, I will say, I do think one thing, I'll bring it back to what I said about Stanton earlier, how I love Stanton's pick. Prince Fielder did hit some very high and far home runs. That could end up biting him a little bit because it is more time consuming. But yeah, 2-time Derby winner. You got, what, 3 of them on your team now? So pretty solid draft, Jonah.
Yeah, Prince Fielder, man. There's another guy. Loved watching him when I was growing up. Just a really electric player, especially with the Brewers. Remember him jumping on home plate and everyone kind of just falling down as the celebration. But his home run derbies in 2009 and 2011, they were really good. They were really special. And as you said, Jonah, old format, so it's kind of tough. But I think that he would be able to endure the kind of home run derby format that we have now. Solid pick for your final one there. But I'm going to go with, for the last pick of this draft, I'm kind of surprised this guy slipped through the cracks. He had a very, very good home run derby, and he's a winner. And I'm kind of surprised neither of you guys picked him, but I'm going to go with the hometown winner, Todd Frazier, back in 2015 when the All-Star game was in Cincinnati. Like I said, hometown winner. That's when he was All-Star third baseman for the Cincinnati Reds. He hit 39 home runs in the 2015 Derby, and he won each round by 1 home run. He hit 14 in the first round, 10 in the second round, and 15 in the finals. And not to mention, he went back in 2016 and faced off against Giancarlo Stanton. He made it all the way back to the finals to defend his title. Obviously came up very short there, but won in 2015. That was a very exciting home run derby. And like I said, he won by 1 home run, not just in the finals, but in every round. So a lot of excitement there. Todd Frazier, 2015 will be my final pick. And that's going to do it for this draft. Hope everybody enjoyed watching it. Jonah, thank you so much for coming and doing this draft with us. It was a lot of fun, a lot of big flies, a lot of long balls to talk about, but that's going to do it. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Jonah, any closing words from you, our guest today?
Thanks for having me. It was great. It was a fun draft, and we'll see who has the best team.
Yep, we will post. Oh, go ahead, Drew.
I want to say, if Matt Carpenter was in a home run derby, probably would have taken first overall.
Win every time. He'd win
Correct.
every time. It's just not. It's not debatable. He'd win every single time. But Drew and I will post a graphic up with our picks and then a Twitter poll for where you, the voters and viewers, can decide who had the best 4-man roster for a home run derby. It'll be on our Twitter. You will see it. Please click on it. Give us some votes. Give us who you think was the winner of this draft. Thank you all for watching.